Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing awesome out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great week out there so far. We have a lot to talk about in this morning's video as we have a lot going on this morning as this powerful storm system begins to crank up and bring in a lot of weather with it. Really a dynamic storm system, meaning we have severe weather side on the warmer side, and on the cold side, we have an all-out blizzard that's going to begin to develop. In fact, it already is over the next several hours into the next 24 hours. So we're going to speak on both in great detail. We'll focus in on the severe weather side first. We'll talk about today's severe weather event, and then we'll go over the latest information that we have for tomorrow's severe weather event, which is actually bumped up to now a level 3 out of 5 risk, an enhanced risk of severe weather for an increased damaging wind risk. So we'll speak on both. We'll section it out. And then we'll go over the blizzard side. We'll talk about winds, how much snow is expected for these individual areas. We'll show you all those close-up graphics per the National Weather Service. And not going to be able to get in today's forecast in just because, this storm system is impacting today. So I'm not going to have that at the end of the video. But I will have you guys a new Bible devotion, so stay tuned for that if you want to hear some word and some scripture and just me talking over it. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Of course, we're praying over you folks who's going to be impacted with the severe weather today into tonight. In fact, we have a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, even tornado warnings ongoing right at this second. So with that being said, let's get rocking and rolling. So the latest on what's going on, there's a lot. We have this line of thunderstorms that's cruising over Oklahoma, Texas. If you see these red boxes, these are severe thunderstorm warnings. We even have that purple box, which is a tornado warning, which is radar indicated, not confirmed. But we were expecting this. We were expecting to wake up to a line of severe thunderstorms kind of rumbling through northern Texas and Oklahoma this morning. Sure enough, this is what we're waking up to. We do have some clusters of storms up here in like central Missouri. We got areas of rain and heavy rain up here in northern Illinois. We got, it's raining all the way up into areas of like Wisconsin, Minnesota, and these areas will be experiencing close to blizzard conditions over the next 24 to 36 hours. A big slug of moisture into lower Michigan. And then we kind of have this pivoting south area of moisture really developing, and it looks like some of this heavy rain is switching to very heavy snow kind of in like western areas of Kansas, eastern areas of Colorado, back into Nebraska. This is where you'll get a brief period of blizzard conditions over the next several hours if you're not already experiencing it right at this second. So definitely a large system. We've been honking the horn of this for quite some time, and I always thought that, March the 4th? I always thought March 5th onward we would have to watch for a powerful storm system. Looks like I was around a day off, but here it is. The pattern supported it, and we're getting a very strong storm system today into tomorrow. So if we continue to move forward, let's focus on the severe weather side of things. So this is the latest outlook. They'll issue another one here in the next hour or two. Maybe they bump it up to a moderate risk, level 4 out of 5. But as of right now, it's an enhanced risk in this orange area. So this means we have a level 3 out of 5 risk of severe weather. So what is driving this? First off, I will kind of mention a couple areas. New Orleans, enhanced risk. Meridian, Jackson, Mobile, down to Pensacola, Alexandria, Shreveport, Pine Bluff. Now, this line of storms is right into here. So as this line of storms moves through, we'll see this area kind of get cut off as these storms move west to east. But this is the graphic we have right now. These storms obviously have not quite moved into Arkansas as of right now, Louisiana, Mississippi. That will change as we get over the next several hours. But the slight risk does extend all the way up to the Missouri-Arkansas line, includes Memphis, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, back to Panama City, all the way over to Columbus, Georgia now, Beaumont, over to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And this is really for what's going on right now. Marginal risk surrounds it. Could have severe weather as far north as almost Davenport, Iowa. Almost said Davenport, Louisiana. But the tornado risk today. If you live in the yellow areas where you have a 10% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. But if you live in the yellow area and also this black outlined area with the black dashes going in between it, you also have a 10% risk of a strong tornado, EF2 or higher. It's not 10 plus 10 equals 20. It's its own deal. So 10% risk of a tornado, also a 10% risk of that tornado being a strong tornado, EF2 or higher. Brown area, 5% risk of a tornado. And then the green is a 2% risk. So I'll kind of zoom into the highest risk area of a tornado, you know, Hattiesburg, Jackson, New Orleans, Mobile. It's going to get dangerous in this area over the next several hours. And then the damaging wind threat is quite significant. Also, this red area, 30% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. And then in the yellow area, it's a 15% risk of that. But if you look at this hatched risk area, black outlined area, might be kind of hard to see on your screen. It's where you have a 10% risk of significant winds, which is 65, 70, 75 miles per hour. 10% risk of that. I mean, that's getting the Category 1 hurricane status. So we are going to have a shot at some very high winds as this kind of develops into almost a squall line. So we'll zoom this back out, and then we will look at hail. There will be a risk of some hail, but I would say the ingredients don't support a significant hail event. So just in this brown area, just a 5% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger and within 25 miles in a given location. But the latest as far as the HRRR model run here, this is starting it off around 6, 7 a.m. So as we start to get to about, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, this starts to move. This line of storms moves out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area into northeast Texas, kind of the Texarkana area, Arklatex region, right where Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana kind of come together here. But the severe part of this line will begin to move into Arkansas around 10 a.m., give or take an hour. And by the time we're into, say, 11 a.m., lunchtime, line of storms sweeping through the rest of eastern Texas, starting to move out of Texas, though. Severe weather threat begins to end in Oklahoma. And then we'll have these powerful storms. And all these storms have the capability, I mean, even though this just looks like kind of a line of storms, there could be a quick spin up. Just remember that, the setup doesn't support these isolated, discrete supercells that can produce violent tornadoes, but you never can rule it out in this setup. But it does support kind of embedded tornadoes in this line of storms. But damaging winds, I think, to me, looks to be the biggest threat today. But we continue, and you see how these storms down here in kind of like north central Louisiana kind of have that kidney bean look to it. These are the ones you have to watch out, where they can tap into more thermodynamic energy, better surface moisture, cape levels. And this is where they could get a little bit kind of semi-discrete, kind of detached from the main cluster of energy, and maybe have an opportunity to take more advantage of the energy in the atmosphere, the ingredients in the atmosphere. So maybe a quick spin up with this, or who knows, maybe a lone track tornado. Let's hope not. But this continues to move through Arkansas, northern Louisiana. And let's go on and switch it to this here, and let's scoot it up. So this is around 2, 3 o'clock, starting to enter the Mississippi Delta area. We got some bad weather starting to move into Memphis, Jonesboro, even up to the Boot Hill, Missouri. Gusty winds associated with all this too. Like I said, you see how these storms down here are kind of hooking? Like this one down here in the bayou near Homa, even out into the Gulf, southwest Mississippi. This is what I'm concerned with. This is around 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon. This is when we start to enter that area where it has a 10% risk of a strong tornado. And I can see why, based off this run of the HRRR model. You can see they're hooking, and I'm telling you, we're going to get some tornadoes in this area, which is an area that's known to get tornadoes in the Deep South. And you continue to go to 5, 6 o'clock, more so a line of storms up here in western Tennessee, sweeping through all the sections of western Tennessee, northern Mississippi, Tupelo, moving through all these areas. And you just got to watch these clusters right down here. I really want to, it's getting into Hattiesburg, starting to knock on the doorstep of Meridian, down to Gulfport, moving through New Orleans, and then it starts to get closer into Middle Tennessee, and then starts to move into Alabama. It's around 7, 8 o'clock. This is moving in fast, and still a tornado threat ongoing all the way into western Alabama. My grandparents live here in southwest Alabama, so if you're tuning in, watching, I know they watch me. Hey, if you're watching, I do think your biggest threat will be damaging winds, but just around later this evening, 8 to 9 o'clock. Definitely be aware of some loud weather. Stay up a little bit later. Once these main line of storms moves through, it's done. It's not going to be one of those events where you'll get multiple rounds of storms. That's the good news about this. Kind of one sweep through and then we're done. 8 to 9 o'clock, storms are kind of going through all of western Alabama. We could even have a nasty line of storms moving through Nashville. And then by the time we're starting to get into say 10, 11 o'clock. These are moving through Birmingham, if not already moved through it, starting to move through Montgomery, starting to go through Auburn, Alabama, and then they start to get into the Atlanta area, Columbus area around midnight, give or take an hour, sweeping through the panhandle of Florida. I have family that lives in Florida now too. My sister and brother-in-law live down there, but this continues to sweep through, and certainly will lose some steam as it gets into Georgia as 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, but we'll still be packing a punch. These storms will probably wake you up in Atlanta, and then it begins to sweep through. So what's interesting to me is if you keep this going, that is snow. So storms will move through, cold air will filter in, and by the time we're into tomorrow evening, we could have some snow flying around in northern Alabama and middle Tennessee. Maybe even North Georgia. This is around 5, 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. Look at these snow showers. I mean, it looks like heavy snow up here in Nashville. And I wouldn't rule out a flurry all the way down to Birmingham, but certainly Huntsville, Florence. I always joke around on Twitter and say that northern Alabama's like has the weather of Montana, because it just seems like the weather in northern Alabama is so much different than the rest of Alabama. But as far as winter weather. But anyways, I mean, look at the blue trying to show up all the way down to Atlanta. This is around 10, 11 o'clock tomorrow night. So interesting. I know we're focusing more on severe weather here, but it's certainly an interesting look. But as far as the updraft Felicity swath, be careful if you live down here in southern Arkansas, especially northern Louisiana. This run, the HRRR model run, does indicate some rotating updrafts through this region, and certainly a quick spin up as possible in this line of storms. And then, the damaging winds through this region, just gusty winds altogether. I mean, even if you don't have a line of storms moving through your area, I mean, it's just going to be windy. In front of the storms, during the storms, after the storms. I mean, this is probably a little overdone off this model run, but 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts are possible over the next 24 hours across this entire area, you see. So, and then switching gears and looking at the deep south and looking at the winds again, a very strong wind event could develop into northern Alabama, into middle Tennessee, into the Cumberland Plateau, and then into the Smokies of Tennessee and North Carolina, where we could get, I really think we could get upwards to 70, 80 mile per hour wind gusts. But look at these strong winds. So howling winds through this entire area, as we really have a mid-level jet max that sweeps and swoops through this area. Now, this is probably overdone if we look at the National Weather Service forecast. But still, they're going for max wind gusts, around the Mississippi Delta area, closer to 50 miles per hour. Northern Alabama, kind of southern middle Tennessee, 45 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts are possible. So very strong winds sweeping through this area. We just got to get this through, and then things will begin to simmer down. But looking back at the model run and then looking at the updraft Felicity swath, let's see where it's trying to pick up on the best spin with these storms. And it really likes northern Alabama, but it also, shows some areas down here in southeast Louisiana, central Alabama, and it's weird, it kind of drops off in Mississippi and then picks back up once it gets into Alabama later this evening. So we'll have to watch that. Just because you live where it has one of these greens and yellow slashes, that don't mean there's a 100% chance you're going to see a tornado. Just look at the whole broad picture here and just know that, hey, these storms will be rotating. This is the updraft Felicity swath, so this indicates where there's rotation with some of these storms. So tomorrow's severe weather threat has increased, unfortunately. And honestly, I'll be completely real with you. I really wasn't expecting this. But enhanced risk is up for southeast Louisiana. There we go. I need to get Louisiana out of my head. I love you guys in Louisiana, no offense, but southeast Virginia. That's what I meant to say. Virginia Beach, Norfolk. It's wild. This area got, some areas got over a foot of snow in this region, just about a week and a half ago or so. But it's been almost 2 weeks now. But anyways, all of the eastern half of North Carolina, enhanced risk level 3 out of 5. All of eastern South Carolina, Florence, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, enhanced risk level 3 out of 5. And then a slight risk all the way from northeast to Florida, Jacksonville, all the way through southeastern Georgia, all the way through Columbia, through Charlotte, Greensboro, the D.C., Baltimore area, and almost the entire state of Virginia, all of Maryland, all of Delaware. And then the slight risk goes all the way up to Erie now. And I'm going to talk about why you have an increased risk of severe weather up here to Pittsburgh. Almost all of West Virginia now. pretty wild. I mean, Buffalo even has a marginal risk. So what's driving this? Let's look at the tornado threat first. 5% risk in the brown area of a tornado within 25 miles in any given location. Okay. The green area, 2% risk, which extends all the way up to Erie. And then the wind threat, red area, 30% chance of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour within 25 miles in any given location. And in the same red area, you also have a 10% risk of significant winds exceeding like 70, 75 miles per hour. It's not 10 plus 30 equals 40. It's its own deal. Okay, but the damaging wind threat is really what's driving this enhanced risk. Then we got the 15% risk of damaging winds in the yellow area, and I'll extend this all the way up into here also. And we're going to get some nasty weather as the line of storms is going to kind of sweep through this area tomorrow afternoon into the evening hours. I will not be chasing this event. I'm not a fan of chasing eastern North Carolina. For whatever reason, that ride down 95 through Florence back to South Carolina is just a brutal drive for me, and I'm not a fan of it. Plus, just trying not to burn too many days here, and I don't like the setup from a chasing aspect really at all. But anyways, be weather aware, and just to kind of take a look at what the HRRR model could look like. And I kind of got Florida cut off down here. I want to show some love to Florida. I don't want to leave you guys hanging, but this is what the radar could look like around 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. Line of storms will sweep through the Jacksonville area. Will it kind of maintain itself as it gets into central Florida? I think it could, but we could just have some clustering of storms down here in northern Florida through about midday. And I really think by the time we get into tomorrow evening, things will begin to calm down in Florida. Now, if we jump it back up to the Carolinas and areas of Virginia, and let's kind of back it up here. And here we go. Here comes the storms. A lot of heavy rain surging through eastern Tennessee, eastern Kentucky, western Virginia, the western Carolinas. Storms are moving to the Greenville, Spartanburg around this time tomorrow morning, starting to move into Charlotte. And you can see how around 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, the storms really kind of get stronger right over the Charlotte, down to Columbia, down to the Low Country. And then they proceed to strengthen as you get later in the morning. And I really think that's because the atmosphere becomes more unstable out ahead of it as it moves later in the morning. But you can see this line of storms sweeping all the way through northern Virginia, all the way down to the PD of South Carolina. Look at this line of storms right over Raleigh down to Fayetteville, Lumberton, around 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then, it looks even more aggressive. Look at these storms moving through the D.C. area up here, going through Richmond. This looks like a pretty powerful line of storms. It's around 1 p.m. too, so it's moving in pretty early in the afternoon. And with this line of storms, damaging winds is a threat and embedded tornadoes. But heck, by the time you're at dinner time tomorrow, the main batch of storms is gone. Is any more storms form after that? I don't think so. But check out the cold air that filters in behind this. This is like 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. Storms sweep off the eastern coastline, and immediately we start to get some pretty aggressive looking northwest flow kind of action down here into the mountains of Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and we could have some snow flying around eastern Tennessee. So you could wake up like in eastern Tennessee to, say, line of storms sweeping through. And then by the time you settle down for the night, it could be snowing in eastern Tennessee. So pretty wild stuff. Now, you kind of go up here. I really don't think the main batch of energy up here in PA and West Virginia and Maryland, etc., Ohio is going to be the severe part. What happens is this sweeps through, you're really close to this surface low. And you see these storms right into here, like near Pittsburgh, western PA, down into areas of West Virginia. These storms right here, they don't look that scary. It's around lunchtime tomorrow. These storms could produce a quick spin up. You have higher level kinematics up here, wind energy, lower level thermodynamics compared to your neighbors to the south. But sometimes them kinematics can really get the job done. And main events right here. You see the storms sweeping through Delaware into New Jersey. Nasty storms moving all the way through New Jersey. A lot of heavy rains up into New York City. This is around 4 o'clock. But you see this line of storms that follows. All the way up into the western areas of the southern tier of New York. These storms here, I'm telling you, hail, damaging winds, and even a brief tornado is possible. and then cold air catches up with it and relaxes the atmosphere, if you will. And then we got snow that follows right behind it. Pretty wild stuff. I mean, this system is wild. Wait till we talk about the winter weather side of this. But the updraft Felicity swath, picking up on that tornado threat, it really likes eastern North Carolina and southeast VA the most. And that's why you got the 5% risk of a tornado right in here. So it does pick up on a legit tornado risk in this area. And then we look at, say, the wind gust swath. And let's just look at the National Weather Service forecast, because I do think sometimes these short-range models just overdo it. But look at the strong winds in the southern Appalachian Mountains and the central Apps, and then look at the gusty winds into the eastern areas of the Carolinas. I mean, 30, 40, 45 mile per hour wind gusts are possible. Very strong winds. And then we head on up here to, let's see, PA. Gusty winds in this area too, but I want to look at the tornado risk of the updraft Felicity swath. Let's look at here, there, and boom. You see this couple little slashes right here through PA? I'm telling you, watch there be a couple tornado warnings tomorrow afternoon in PA and surrounding states. Normally these can be sneaky, hopefully not. Not trying to freak anybody out up here or anything like that, but these little surface low, we call it the triple point, where just ingredients build right up to the surface low. Sometimes they can produce. So that's it on the severe weather. Let's talk about the winter weather side of this, as we're 22 minutes deep into this video. So blizzard warnings are up in the red. This is already cranking up right now for this area here. Okay, winter weather advisories in between two of these sections of blizzard warnings. This is where a little bit of snow could fall. What's interesting to me is we have blizzard warnings all the way down into Kansas City now, Topeka. And if you read the discussion, blizzard conditions expected, total snow accumulations of a dusting to 2 inches. You're thinking, how the heck can you get a blizzard? Well, remember, the blizzard criteria isn't for how much snow falls. It's the duration of the snow falling compared to how fast the winds are because of the blizzard. 35 miles per hour, I think for 3 hours is the criteria. Somebody correct me on that if I'm wrong. But winds getting as high as 70 miles per hour, guys. And just crazy stuff. Now, let's zoom this back out. We got winter weather advisories in Lincoln, Omaha, blizzard warnings, Sioux Falls, winter weather advisories. We got a few winter storm warnings kind of south of Pierre, South Dakota. But these blizzard warnings extend all the way up to Des Moines, for example. I'll read a discussion in Des Moines. Here, blizzard conditions expected. Snow accumulations, not that big of a deal. 2 to 4 inches. Winds gusting as high as 60 miles per hour. Man, I'm telling you, this system, I just hope if you're living in this area and you're tuning in, you're not thinking, whatever, a few inches of snow ain't a big deal. But the winds are just going to be extreme in this area. Blizzard warnings right through central Iowa. And then we start to get into southern areas of Minnesota. Blizzard warnings are up for areas south of the Minneapolis area, like Rochester, Austin, La Crosse. You have winter weather advisories in Wisconsin. Eau Claire, just winter storm warnings. But, Minneapolis, you guys have winter storm warnings, okay? And once we get into Wisconsin, they just have winter storm warnings right now. But we could get this changed to blizzard warnings. I'm just saying I could see it happening. Duluth, just winter weather advisories, and these winter storm warnings extend all the way up into the UP of Michigan, Marquette included, and all the communities here. You guys could get a ton of snow from this, a big time March winter storm up here. So let's spend some time on what the latest run from the HRRR model is saying with this system. Watch how dynamic this thing gets and how fast. And look at this system. I mean, we get into about midday today. We got this kind of scrawny, thin layer of heavy snow that develops. Okay, this could be heavy snow. Who gets this band of snow? That's a big question. But whoever's getting this snow, it's a blizzard. If it's not snowing, it's still very strong winds. And then kind of the main low cranks up. And I mean, this is a strong low cranking up. And the reason is why you're getting such strong winds kind of in this area, kind of from Kansas City to Omaha, basically in this corridor, is because you're right beside this low pressure. Tight gradient creates very strong winds as the isobars really tighten up. 981 millibar low, and I mean, it's strengthening right beside you. And this heavy wind-driven rain switches to heavy wind-driven snow, hence the blizzard. And rain switches to snow, and even down to Kansas City. I mean, we could get rain switching to snow all the way down to Springfield. And look at this corridor of snow in western Iowa, eastern Nebraska. It's snowing like crazy from Lincoln to Omaha. Rain dramatically switches to snow. In Des Moines, it's snowing like crazy up in Rochester, Minneapolis, the northern half of Wisconsin. All of the western UP of Michigan is getting heavy snow. And then look at this low. I mean, it's a sub 980 millibar low. Snow still wrapping and pulling all the way down into central and southern Missouri. Rain switches to snow, even in La Crosse. I mean, Eau Claire, it's snowing like crazy. Still snowing in Minneapolis. It's tomorrow morning. I keep forgetting to mention the time. We're getting heavy, wet, wind-driven snow for all of the UP of Michigan at this point. And this continues. I mean, this low pressure moves like almost right over Chicago. And finally, things begin to calm down as we get into the overnight hours tomorrow night. Another wild way to look at this, I thought it looked even more impressive on Weather Bell. I'm going to pull this up on the fly for you folks. Look at this. Look at this storm system. It looks like a hurricane over land. It quite literally looks like a hurricane over land. I mean, look at it just wrapping through Indiana as we're getting into tomorrow afternoon. I mean, this is going to bring some crazy weather through Indiana as cold air literally tries to come all the way down. It gets pulled all the way down into Middle Tennessee. You're wondering, why in the world is it snowing in Middle Tennessee, but it's raining in Indianapolis? Well, that's because this low is so strong, it's yanking down cold air from the north, and the cold air is actually catching up to the south. And then the low pressure itself brings a lot of warm air in all levels of the atmosphere. But you eventually try to switch to some heavy, wet snow, even in like the Ohio Valley, and then it could just do some weird stuff as we get into tomorrow night. But man, that thing just looks crazy, don't it? I mean, it looks like a hurricane over land. But winds, guys, this is between now and the next 24 hours. I mean, hopefully, no offense, I'm not taking a shot at anybody. Hopefully, you know where you are on the map. But Nebraska, Kansas, and look at the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas and eastern Colorado. This is going on right now for some areas, but I mean, look at it, 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. I mean, insane winds, even if you're not snowing, it's just raining or nothing's falling from the sky. Just insane winds, guys. And, you look up here in this area, and right as it gets into this area, the blizzard warnings kind of cut off, but I could see some winter storm warnings upgrading to blizzard warnings into areas of Wisconsin. But look at these strong winds in western Iowa, central Iowa. And then look at this area right here. But like I said, between Kansas City and Omaha, someone's going to get over 70 mile per hour wind gusts. And look at the wind gusts through the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, guys. So brief blizzard conditions are likely, even for areas that don't have blizzard warnings. Very strong winds through this entire area. Now let's break down the snowfall forecast. Some of this is falling right now. Goodland, 1 to 4 inches of snow. Hit or miss storm in this area, and areas of northwestern Kansas and areas of Colorado. You might not get nothing. You might get a quick several inches of snow. So it's a very tough one to figure out. We kind of scoot east into the rest of Kansas. Topeka, a trace to 3 inches of snow. St. Joseph, 1 to 3. Marysville, trace to 3. Not a whole lot of snow. It's just the winds in this area. And then Kansas City, a trace to 2 inches of snow. Maryville, I definitely think you guys will get accumulating snow up here. 2 to 4. Falls City, 2 to 4. A little bit of accumulating snow down Interstate 70 and down Interstate 49. I definitely think you'll get snow falling. It's just, is it going to accumulate to much? That's a big question. A lot of strong winds in this area. And then we move it back up into Nebraska, North Platte, 2 to 4 inches of snow over the next 12 hours or so. And going forward, like in Ainsworth, 4 to 8 inches of snow. We'll see if that verifies. This is kind of like the first little area of banding that we can get, but it's going to be tough to figure this one out. Very tough forecast. The rest of Nebraska, this is kind of the gap between the two areas of precipitation. Very strong winds in this area, but not a whole lot of snow. Trace, maybe an inch, 2 inches at most. But if you live in this area in Nebraska and northern Kansas, don't expect a whole lot of snow. Lincoln, trace, maybe 4 inches of snow. Then we get into the Omaha area. Omaha, 2 to 5 inches of snow. Harlan, Iowa, 3 to 7. Nebraska City, 2 to 5. Sioux City, 1 to 4. not a huge snow event for this area, but just blizzard conditions when it is snowing. And then Iowa. This is going to be a big blizzard for you guys. I mean, several inches of snow, kind of, I would say west of Des Moines, north of Des Moines, Mason City 4 to 7, Algona 5 to 8, Fort Dodge 4 to 7, Des Moines itself 2 to 4. Not a whole lot in the eastern sections of Iowa, but this corridor right here is just going to get an all-out blizzard with the heavy snow and the winds. And then up here in the South Dakota, I don't want to leave you guys hanging. 3 to 6 inches of snow in winter. Sioux Falls, maybe 2 inches at most, but not a big event for you guys at all. And then we look at southern Minnesota. Big event, especially for southeast Minnesota. 4 to 9 inches of snow is now forecast for the Twin Cities and Minneapolis. Rochester 6 to 10, kind of between Red Wing, Rochester, and was that Faribault? Probably pronounced that all wrong. You could get an area in this kind of orange color. Over a foot of snow is possible. Eau Claire, 4 to 8 inches of snow. Big event in this area with blizzard conditions. This could be the highlight of the storm as far as heavy snow and winds. But the rest of Wisconsin, Rhinelander, 7 to 11. Ladysmith, 4 to 8. Hayward, 4 to 10. Ashland, 9 to 16 inches of snow. Duluth, 2 to 7. You get down to like Madison, Milwaukee, Janesville, an inch or 2 or less. Green Bay, 1 to 3. Florence, 6 to 10. And just a closer look at the UP here. My bad. Closer look at the UP here. Marquette, 13 to 22 inches of snow is forecast. I know I got some loyal viewers up here from this area, and you guys will have to let me know what you end up seeing up here. I know we got Steven, we got Lisa, we got a couple other people up here too. This could be a big one, especially the further west you live, the more snow you'll get. Some people would get are going to get buried with snow, and you're going to get gusty winds. It's not going to be a beautiful kind of light snow falling gently and all that. This is going to be wind driven, even though you don't have maybe blizzard warnings up here. You're going to get brief blizzard conditions. Ironwood, 11 to 18, Houghton, 11 to 16 inches of snow. This is going to be a big event for you guys. So that's all I got. I'm going to switch it to this. I'm going to do a little Bible devotion. You guys stay safe today. This is going to be a high-impact storm system for sure. Let me check the timing. Make sure I don't get too behind. All right, 7:05 is not too bad. Still working. So our little Bible devotion today. This is a piece of scripture that I think a lot of people are probably familiar with, but it's in Philippians chapter 4, verse 6 and 7. It says, and let me stop this. This is distracting me. It says, "Don't worry about anything, but in everything, through prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Jesus Christ." Let me say that one more time because I messed that up. "Don't worry about anything, but in everything, through prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." So I think that it goes without saying that it's a lot of people have stress and anxiety of all ages. And I think what's wild to me is it seems like the younger generation talks about it more than when some of us were young. For example, when I was a kid, I didn't even when I was 15, 16 years old, I didn't even know what the word anxiety meant. As I got older, obviously, I knew about it, worry, stress, all that stuff. But it seems like, you got these 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds talking about how they have anxiety, this, that, and the other. And when I was growing up, that was just the normal waves of life, and but today's world is different. But anyways, I think about this in two ways. The first is what it talks about in Scripture. If you're stressing about something, if you're worried about something, you got some just bad emotions about something, we're called to pray, to come to Him, pray over that, and we will get a peace about it. Now you got to have faith in God that things are going to work out, and really embrace that. Now that is, and I'll say this, just because you pray about it, that don't mean it's just going to magically. That's not Sometimes it does. It doesn't mean it's just all going to go away. You're still going to have waves of it. You're still going to be down. You're going to feel stressed out. It's going to come. But for me, and it kind of goes back to other things we say, to me, it seems like the more close I am to God, the more involved I am with building my relationship with Christ, the more I'm involved with the church, basically the more quiet time I have with Him, the better I build my relationship with Him. It seems like the more that I pray when I am stressed out, feeling that anxiety, those negative emotions, that peace really does come over me. It's like I have this, it's like it's still in my mind, but it's like I ultimately have this thought process that it is going to be okay regardless of the way it works out. It's like the song, every little thing is going to be okay, all right. And it's true. I mean, it is. It's going to be okay at the end of the day. You just have to trust in God's plan, His will. And that goes into the second thing. A lot of people will pray when they're stressed out, have anxiety about something. They'll pray for what they really want to happen, to fix how they feel. And I don't think that's necessarily a terrible thing to do. God is looking out for us. He wants what's best. He wants us to feel better. But sometimes, for example, if I'll give an example of this, and I was kind of thinking about this in my quiet time this morning. If you're in a really bad relationship, whether you're a guy, bad relationship, if you're a woman, you're a bad relationship with a man. Let's use that as an example. And y'all keep having a falling out, whether he's abusive verbally or physically or whatever it may be. It's a really bad situation, and y'all break up. You end up going back to him, break up again. He apologizes, blah, blah, blah. Seems like, it's just an endless, reckless cycle. And you keep praying, hey, God, I really want this to work out. I want to be with this guy. I really just, I want him to change. I want this to work out. And you keep praying for this situation to work out for you. And sometimes you just got to stop and maybe think, hey, God, I want to pray for your will on this situation. If you're calling me to leave this man, please give me the strength and the faith to do it. If you're calling me to stick it out and you're going to work through this situation, please let that be known. And you got to pray for His will. And sometimes His will on that situation that you're feeling all those anxiety about is going to cause you to go through something that maybe you're not very comfortable with going through. It's going to be, you might have to go through some more trials to get to the other side, but pray for His will on the situation. And even if it seems like that's going to take you through a situation that's going to be even harder. For the example I'm using, maybe He's calling you to leave that bad relationship. And I'm just using that as an example. Maybe He's calling you to leave that bad relationship and you're like, man, that seems impossible. I don't want to do that. I don't want to leave. And you stick with it. Well, you keep feeling those same negative emotions. And I know I just kind of went on and on, but you know how I am, guys. I like to just ramble. So I'll just wrap all that up, but just, pray to Him. Try not to have that anxiety. And I'm speaking to myself, guys, because I have it. I have a little bit every single day. It's funny how, it's not funny, but you get what I'm saying. It's wild how, I don't know about you guys, I can't speak for you, but it seems like it always hits you right when you wake up in the morning. It's like a slap in the face. It wants to keep you grounded. And that's the enemy coming after you. Don't let the enemy keep you down. And you know what's wild to me? He tries to get me, what one morning he tries to get me the most on? Sunday mornings. He tries to keep me down so hard. Don't let him keep you down. Pray to the Lord. Pray for His will over that situation that's causing you all that stress and anxiety. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe today, and I'll talk to you again in the next video.